Hi friends! I thought I would drop in and share with you a layout share. I am completed scrapbooking October 2020 in my chronological scrapbooking, and I think it's time I shared you the layouts. This is the stack that I have to share. It's a gooder. It's just going to be the 12 by 12 layouts. I'm not going to share the Traveler's Notebook spreads that I made, unless you're interested. If you're interested, let me know in the comments down below and I will make another video. But at the very least, I will show you my 12 by 12 scrapbook layouts. So with September's layout share last month, I don't think I shared the last two layouts that I made for September. So I'm going to share them here. So I made this one. I used a lot of, well, some Ellie Edwards plastic ephemera. I stapled these two hearts to a journaling card, which comes from Close to My Heart. This little flare button does as well. It's a Christmas, from a Christmas collection. But the rest I cut myself. Oh, actually, I think the pink pattern paper here in the word seriously came from Cocoa Vanilla. And then down here, there is some Pink Fresh. But I die cut these cute little cows and the fences that they are adhered over. There's the Moo speech bubbles. These are phrase stickers that actually come from a Ellie Studio sticker sheet. I created my own journal card by stamping the word Moo on it repetitively in 3 generations of stamping, so first, second, and third, without cleaning your stamp off. And then I have journaling over top. I really like this layout. I'm so happy with how it came out. I do believe that I used a stencil in the background to create the dots. I was trying to recreate the spots on a Holstein cow in the background, and I used just a gray ink color to do that. So that's the first one. This one is a mixed media layout. By the way, there should be process videos for all of these layouts. So if you want to go back and see the actual process, you will be able to find them on my channel. So this one is a mixed media layout. I used a mixture of Blueprint Sketch, I do believe, spray, and also salvaged patina. I just sprayed one over top of the other just to provide some depth. I was trying to recreate the look of a natural blue sky. And the light blue, the salvaged patina, didn't quite do it, but when I added the, I keep wanting to say prize ribbon, when I added the Blueprint Sketch, it achieved the look that I was going for. And then I decided to do something a little bit different with the leaves. I die cut the leaves with my Cricut, but then I decided to do the, I guess it's like an inking technique, a watercolor technique using inks. You take your stamping block. I'm just going to pull one out of my little basket for an example. Take an acrylic block, stamp your ink pad on it. You can use one or as many colors as you want. Always start with the lightest color first and then work your way up to the darkest. That way you don't contaminate your ink pads. Spray it with a little bit of water and then stamp directly to your paper. Lift straight back up and you will end up with something that looks like this. So I used a variety of different colors. There's reds, oranges, and yellows on some of the leaves, and then the other leaves have green, blue, and brown, I think, just a light sort of tan color to give them just a little bit of variety. I die cut the title and then I stamped the rest of it, so the full title is Such a Beautiful Place. And then I used some just scraps that I had in my stash. So these are branding strips that I just trimmed down to make them look like washi tape. There is some Pink Fresh chipboard flare here. There is an Ellie Studio chipboard flare down here, and then some Tim Holtz phrase stickers. And that pretty well completes this layout. Very simple, but it makes a huge impact, and I love it too. This layout was Cricut designed as well. So now this is October. The first two were from September of 2020. Now this is October of 2020. I die cut the sun rays, but instead of actually using the cut file, I decided to trace around it and hand stitch the sun rays. And I used embroidery floss in varying shades of yellow, kind of moving into the orange over on the right hand side here. I also did a watercolor technique on my title. I actually just used watercolor paints and did sort of an ombre painting effect on it. So I added more color down at the bottom and then blended it out towards the top with just a bit more water. I love how that looks. I have to do it again. It looks really fantastic. I used amazing puffy alphas from, I think it's a Paige Taylor Evans title sheet that I have in my stash. Here's some more Ellie Edwards plastic hearts. They were stapled to the layout as well. And then there's just a few other random pieces on this layout too. I did use some stickles to create sort of enamel dots on the layout as well, just to draw your eye up and down. And then everything else serves to draw your eye from left to right. And it's a fairly monochromatic layout as well. I stuck with yellows and just a little bit of gray, and I think it does a fantastic job of making the pictures absolutely pop. I love this layout. And then of course there's journaling here too. So there's that one. This is another absolute favorite of mine. I had this idea to do a layout of each of the seasons. If you know me, you know that I say, or will say, and have said in the past, that I don't love just one season. I mean, I love them all, but there's something about each and every season to love, and that's why I love every season. So I started with fall. I took pictures from each of the seasons that I had saved to my computer and adhered them to these tags. Some of them were dry embossed. Well, actually just this one. This one is some Close to My Heart pattern paper that I had left over in my stash. These two are from Cocoa Vanilla Studio paper collections. I think I just used the 6x8 papers. I don't have many of the 12x12 papers in my stash. I also used some Cocoa Vanilla stickers, puffy stickers. This heart might actually be from Ellie Edwards. There's some Pink Fresh, Ellie Studio, Echo Park / Cartabella. Like, there's everything here. And I wanted to create a mixed media layout as well. So behind all of the tags, there is mixed media created using the packaging technique. I added splatters as well to the top and the bottom, and I stuck with the gray, blue, and yellow color scheme. And then over top of all of the watercoloring, I actually did some stenciling as well. So on the left-hand side, there is a spider web stencil that I had in my stash. I used that. This one is a snowflake. It's kind of hard to see, but it is a snowflake overlay. I don't think there's anything over top of the center one, which it's really hard to see, but my title is there. It says, She Said, and What's the Story? So I left that one blank, but underneath this one, I added some raindrops, the stencil that I had in my stash. Some of the stencils that I have, actually 99% of them, are all stencils that I have created myself, either using cardstock or stencil paper. So if there is a stencil that you want that you can't find in stores, if you can get yourself some stencil paper and you have a die cutting machine, you can create your own stencils. So these three, actually all four of them, are stencils that I created myself. So that's where they came from, because I really don't have a lot of stencils in my stash and I want some. And I haven't always been able to find ones that I really like, so I've just created my own. So that is this layout. It is not matted like 99.8 of all the other layouts that I create, but this one really didn't need it. I loved it just as it is. Here's another mixed media layout. I love this layout. I decided that I wanted to create sort of S shape on one side of the layout. This layout actually is a scrap lift of myself from sometime in the past. I was going to say way back in the day, but it wasn't really way back in the day. It was recent, but not that recent. You actually will find all of my layouts on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram link down in the description box below. So if you're not following me there, you can, if you would like. And all of my layouts are posted there, so you can scroll back for years and years and see my layouts, and at one time cards as well too. So I die cut all of the leaves from different pattern papers. I couldn't tell you now where all of the pattern papers came from, like what manufacturers. I think this green one is Close to My Heart, but I couldn't tell you exactly who these two are from. And then I used Close to My Heart cardstock to cut the doves. I used salvaged patina again to create my watercolor background and add some splatter as well. There is gesso in the background too. It does leave some texture behind when you use it, which is fine. It protects your paper, and that is the purpose of it, so that your mixed media doesn't soak through the paper. But I find that I don't like writing on it. Writing on it doesn't work very well, and stamping on it is really hit or miss as well. So I try not to write on it just because it changes the consistency of your cardstock. And I also use always smooth cardstock as well. I really like the way that textured cardstock looks. I love it. But for myself, I find it too expensive to buy, and the packs are not very large. So I tend to stick with Close to My Heart cardstocks. They work well for me. They work well for die cutting. They work well for my mixed media. They're smooth cardstock, and they're white core cardstock. So the blue cardstock in the background here, if I was to distress it, you would see white in between, sandwiched in between the colored sides of the cardstock. And that doesn't bother me. It can actually work in your favor depending on what you want to do in your layouts. That was a huge bunny trail, long-winded. Back to the layout. So I die cut my title, part of it, and then I stamped the other portion of it and just created my own little like phrase sticker. There are some Fall Market Cartabella stickers here that I used. This arrow might have actually come from a very ancient Echo Park collection that I have in my stash. These leaves are also from the Fall Market collection. I added my journaling and some stamping. I use this K&Co date stamp to do all of my stamping. I mentioned in one of my videos just recently that the mechanism here to turn the stamp, see, it doesn't work very well. It twists, but it doesn't actually grab the rubber part of the thing. I think I'm in the market for a new date stamp. I have my eye on one. I think Scrapbook Nerd has one that is coming in. It is out of stock right now, so I'm waiting patiently for it, but I will be getting a new one, I think. Fingers crossed at some point. I also added some Nuvo drops to create enamel dots on this layout as well, and I sprinkled them around the page. Of course, there are my photos. This layout is about Miss Ava and how quickly time flies since we rescued her. We've had her as of 2020. Now it would be 4 years, but in 2020 it was 3 years that we had her. And it's like there was never a day she wasn't part of our family, which is pretty neat. We love her. Okay, next one. Oh, this one is so fun. This is a mixed media layout in its truest sense. I added watercolor to the background using salvaged patina again. This page is treated with gesso, so it has that texture again. But then I decided I wanted to add stamping to the background as well. I think this may have also been for a challenge. I couldn't tell you what challenge it is now anymore, but the stamping, because I wouldn't do this on my own unless there was a prompt of some sort. So I'm pretty sure I was looking at a sketch to create this layout. So I added stamping. Just repetitively, I used 2 different stamps and just stamped them over and over again. If I was to do this layout a second time, which at some point I do plan on doing that, this stamping up in the top corner here, I would move down a bit. Whoops. So it would sit more kind of in this area, not up here. I feel like it's really disjointed. However, I love this layout. It turned out so well. It's a lot of fun. I love the stamping in the background paired with the mixed media. I used scrap papers that I had lying on my desk to create these 2 I think they're 3 by 3 inch squares, maybe 2.5 by 2.5. And then this one I created as well, but I stamped on the background and then inked the edges using some espresso ink, I believe. And then I used this thing, Puffy Alpha title. There we go. I'm not sure where this came from. This is from an Ancient Echo Park sticker sheet that I have in my stash. I used some more LE Studio Alphas to finish my title. And then of course I stamped part of it as well. This is from a Close to My Heart stamp that I have in my stash. There is some Tim Holtz phrase stickers. I think I might have cut this sticker in 2 because it was too long to fit over top of the title. I layered my picture, which is 2 by 2 inches, over top of some more scrap papers. There's another sticker from an Echo Park collection. And of course, there are just a little bit of die cuts, including this large star that I inked the edges of and hand stitched. All of the embroidery floss that I use in my stitching is DMC floss. You can get them online at Amazon, which is where I got the bulk of my embroidery floss, but you can also pick them up at Michael's. You can get them at Walmart. There's a few different places that you can get them from. So if you were looking for embroidery floss, definitely check those places out. Another absolute love layout. It's mixed media again, using once again salvaged patina. Do you see a running theme for these layouts in October? When I started these layouts, salvaged patina was a new product to me. And I think it is one of these colors that everybody needs to have in their stash. It's a staple in mine, and you can do no wrong using it, in my opinion. I had this idea for this layout to create a shelf and have the title and some icons layered over top of it and on either end of the title. I think I was kind of thinking of, like a calendar would look like if you were to look at it and it has the month name on it and then it has little things decorating it and then the calendar is underneath. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what I had running in my head. So I die cut these pumpkins from scrap pattern papers that I had in my stash. I also die cut these leaves as well and then added some leaves from the Fall Market sticker sheet as well. That was another item that I used heavily in my layouts for the month of October as well, are these stickers. And quite honestly, this is probably the first time ever in my history of scrapbooking that I have so consistently used a sticker sheet. If you know me, you know that I rely heavily on my Cricut, and additional pieces like these typically don't make it into my layouts. I have been making more of an effort more recently to use them a little bit more, but I really found that the Fall Market collection landed itself well to my fall-time layouts this time around. I couldn't resist not using them. They were just perfect, especially the smaller icons. The larger ones I struggle a little bit more with, but yeah, they were perfect for the stories that I wanted to tell in the month of October of 2020. So I have 5 photos here. They were all printed at 2 by 2 inches, and these are just from the month of October in 2020. And I could not resist using an Anne of Green Gables quote for my journaling on this layout. And it's that I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers. Because for real, I mean, aside from this picture of the snow, how can you not resist these colors and how beautiful the world turns in the autumn season? I just love it. I love the colors. I love the smells. I love the textures, the change in the temperature, like the cooler temperature, sweaters, chai teas, and pumpkin spice lattes. Yes, I'm one of them. But fall, there's just so much to love. And like I said, all the other seasons as well, there are so many things to love about each of the seasons. This was a deeper dive into what I love about autumn rather than the first one, which was a little bit more just skimmed the surface. So that is that layout. I love it. This is me asking myself, does this make me an adult? Some of the quirks that I have personally. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I have heard other people talking about it in the past as well. When you clean your house, specifically when you vacuum, the lines in your carpet, how satisfying it is seeing them there. That's where the idea for this layout came from. Not only that, like the lines, I mean, but just clean floors, especially if you have kids and messy pets. There's nothing better. It feels so good to have a clean house and clean floors, and I wanted to tell that story here. So it's mixed media again. This time I used Dina Wakley Cheddar spray ink. I also added splatter as well. Look at the difference in color between the splatter and the mixed media, the watercolor background. It's really neat. I love the depth and color. My initial reaction to seeing the dark splatter was, oh, that's a little too dark. But actually now I think it really, really works with the whole scheme. I used some scrap pattern papers from my stash once again. I used my paper tearing tool to create the paper torn edges. There is some brown pattern paper sneaking in underneath there too. It kind of got hidden by the title. And actually, if I hadn't looked as closely as I did now, I totally would have missed it, but it is there. This is the tool that I use for my paper tearing. Obviously, there are 2 edges, one that's a little more tighter and rugged, and then the other side, which is looser and more spread out. I tend to use this side a lot more often than I do this side. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. But yes, this came from Creative Memories. This was probably one of the very first tools I ever got when I started my scrapbooking journey. I also had one of the little mini paper trimmers as well, and I got rid of it. And I'm kicking myself for having gotten rid of it because I see now that it would have been a very useful tool in my stash. But hindsight is 2020, right? These photos, again, are 2 by 2 inches, and they're matted to white cardstock that I inked the edges of. This part here, I am most proud of. I have multiple Tim Holtz phrase sticker booklets in my stash. There are 2, actually all 3 sitting right here. This is the phrase sticker pack that I used. And because I have so many of them, I decided to create a focal point on my layout by adding all kinds of different phrase stickers to a 2 by 2 inch square and then inking the edges. I really love the way that this looks. Number one, it really made a dent in my phrase stickers. And secondly, like I just said, it looks fantastic. And it was so easy to do. I made sure that I offset them so they weren't all in rows up on the page. So a lot of them were hanging off the edge, and I cut the pieces that were hanging off. But then I placed them in other places around the page too where there were holes, so that they did get used up. I didn't just throw them out. But I will be trying this again. You don't have to use stickers to do this. If you have a lot of phrase stamps, that would work as well. And it doesn't have to be such a small canvas either. You can use something bigger, you can use something longer. It's totally up to you, but I really like the way that this looks, and I will be doing it again. And then of course I pulled some more Tim Holtz phrase stickers into it as well. I added my journal strips as I do to the layout. There's the date as well, and then also some Cricut die cuts as well. This one back here is also a Cricut die cut. I trimmed it in half, and I do believe I used the other half on another layout coming up. Yeah, so there's that one. This one is, okay, I remember now, this one is for Paper Issues. I was playing along with their Scrap Lift Sunday challenge. That may have been where this other one came from as well. This one here, maybe it was a Scrap Lift Sunday. I'm not sure, I can't remember. Or it could have been anything, I don't know. Wherever I find inspiration, if it inspires me, I use it, obviously. I do have more torn papers here in the background as well. I created a shelf once again, and then I layered sunflowers over top of them, and then 2 more down underneath my photos, almost creating a box. And then to close that box up, I added my title, half die cut and half stamped, to the left-hand side, along with my journaling and then the date as well. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I did add some Close to My Heart shimmer using the clear shimmer brush to the centers of the sunflowers. And then I also used some spray mist in the background. This one is Heidi Swap Color Shine in Tea. And once again, it works perfectly with the entire design. This layout was matted to espresso cardstock from Close to My Heart. This one was also another Scrap Lift Sunday challenge, I believe. I die cut all of the snowflakes and actually created my own little border using them. I die cut the title as well, which is I Smell Snow. And then these flowers were die cut too, as well as this piece in the background. I hand stitched it using embroidery floss. My photos here are 2 by 3 inches. I used some snarky phrase stickers from a Chrissy Ann sticker booklet that I picked up from Michael's. There's some Close to My Heart wood veneer here, white enamel dots, also from Close to My Heart. And then these 2 little pieces, this is Cocoa Vanilla, and then this flower sticker comes from Simple Stories collection, I do believe. And that's this layout. Super simple, obviously no mixed media, but very clean and came together really quickly. Oh, and then here's the other half of that die cut half circle that I was telling you about 2 layouts ago. Yes. So this was another Scrap Lift Sunday layout from Paper Issues, I do believe. This one I changed up just a little bit. It's half a Scrap Lift Sunday, and it's actually half a scrap lift of myself. I did another layout sometime in the past using the squares of paper like I did here, but it was in this orientation, and I used only 1 photo. But in this one I used 2, and then I used papers from mini pads that I had in my stash actually to create the pattern paper goodness in the background. I layered my title over top of the 1 square, die cut the good times and this little border that says yum 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 on it. The wood veneer is Close to My Heart. This heart is from Cocoa Vanilla. This little photo corner here is actually from another ancient sticker sheet that I have in my stash. And that's it. I added my journaling over top. I added a little bit of splatter, I think using the Heidi Swapp Color Shine in Tea again. And I love this design. This one is another one of my all-time favorites, I think. Here's another fun layout. This is actually another scrap lift I did of one that I had made previously in the past. The original layout was one done by Melissa Vining, and I kind of had that in my mind when I sat down to create this layout. My favorite part of the layout are the cascading snowflakes. They are die cut. They cut twice from Close to My Heart cardstock. I used white cardstock, of course, and then the cardstock that I used in the background is actually Close to My Heart mink. And funny thing about mink, when it first came out from Close to My Heart, I hated it. I did not like the color. I didn't think I would ever use it. And lo and behold, however many years later since mink has been out and I used it, and honestly, I love it. I used it in the background as well to matte my white cardstock. So that is the cardstock. It's a grayish kind of color. It's a brownie gray. And I think that's why, honestly, it irritated me as bad as it did. Pick what you're going to be. Either be gray or be brown. You can't be both. Which may have been unfair. I don't think I gave it a fair chance. But I did use it here and I really liked it. It worked well with the whole layout, the color scheme that I had, and it may actually be one of my favorites now. I used it also to double matte my photos. The photos again are 2 by 2 inches and they were matted to white cardstock and then the mink cardstock as well. The title was cut from mink. This paper is a Simple Stories paper. I stamped part of the title on it. That was cut with my Cricut. And then all of these were just scraps of paper that I had. I didn't alter them in any way. I may have shortened them a little bit or like thinned them out height-wise, but otherwise I didn't really do anything to change them at all. I really like the way this layout came together. I decided after I got my journaling adhered that I should have maybe inked the edges of it because the stark white against everything else that appears to be distressed, it looked out of place. So I tried doing it while it was adhered to the layout. So that's where it kind of spilled onto the layout here, but it's no big deal. It makes me laugh, actually. It adds personality, as they say. So that's that layout. Here is a layout of Chili Dog, aka Freddy. I used the Heidi Swapp Color Shine in Tea again. I also added some Recollections gold spray as well, just in splatter. It's more of like a bronzy gold. It's not a true yellow gold. And when I bought it, I didn't realize that. I did wonder why the liquid looked so dark, but just one of those things that never materializes in your brain. Like you look at it and it's on the outer fringes, but yeah, anyways, I still use it. I do like it. It's not my favorite. I like true gold, but it is what it is. More 2 by 2 photos that were adhered to white cardstock. These were popped up with craft foam as well to lift them up off the heart in the background. I used more pattern papers that I had in my stash from mini albums. This, I do believe, is an old Jelly Bean Soup pattern paper, and then these two come from K&Co maybe collection. So they were just strips, and the title and the photos got layered over top. If it looks familiar, this part right here, that's because I mimicked this layout. The title, at least, I really liked this portion of it and I wanted to do this again, but quite honestly, it didn't execute as well as this one did. This is by far my favorite, but I really like the background in this one better than I did in the first one. Anyways, I tried replicating it, but instead of using snowflakes, I used leaves. So they were die cut from a mixture of cardstock and pattern paper. I added my journaling around the heart instead of out here in the periphery. And that's it. There's a Tim Holtz phrase sticker there as well, my date. This layout I did for Scrapbook Nerd. It was a design team layout, and actually some of these other ones had to have been for Scrapbook Nerd too, but I am not sure now which ones. My memory is not the greatest at the best of times. So I really focused on using products that I got from the Scrapbook Nerd shop, as I should, to create this layout. So I used photo play crafting with my nomies. This layout is about my daughter and how much she loves drawing and how good she is at it as well. And this collection was perfect for doing that. So these papers come from the collection. You can't really see the pattern on this green paper very well, but it's a polka dot. It's super duper cute. My pictures are 2 by 3 inches again, but I matted them to white cardstock, and then I used stickers from the sticker sheet. These hearts up here are from the sticker sheet as well. I just matted them to scrap paper and then fussy cut them out so that I could move them around and figure out where they were going to live before I committed to it. What inspired this whole layout was the journal card. Originally, my title was just going to be I love to create, but I kept coming back to the right now phrase from a puffy, my brain. I can't remember where it came from, where these puffy alphas came from. I want to say it was Cocoa Vanilla, but I'm not 100% sure. I really felt like I needed to fill in this corner down here just to make it feel a bit more balanced. The gnomes here and the sticker just weren't enough. So I finally took the plunge and added right now, which that ended up becoming my title instead of I love to create. I added a few phrase stickers. The Art is Messy phrase sticker and the Get Your Craft On are both from the Crafting with My Nomi sticker sheet as well. And then I added some Tim Holtz phrase stickers too. And then to finish my layout off, I doodled a border around the white cardstock and then created faux stitching with my journaling pen, mostly just to hide the little mistakes that I made in the corner. It works well. I really like how this layout came out. It's pretty basic and clean and simple, but I think it's effective. I really like it. So yeah, that's that layout. This one is a picture of a historical landmark in my area. I printed this photo at 3 by 3 inches high by, I think it's about 10 inches long. It's a panoramic photo. I didn't want to cut any part of it out. I wanted to see the bridge in its entirety. And quite honestly, these outer corners, the bridge still goes, but you can't see them in the picture. They're hidden by trees anyways. I do have other pictures. I didn't know how to incorporate them into this layout, so I just left it as is. But I have more pictures from the backside of the bridge looking this way. More panoramic as well. Maybe I'll create more layouts using these in the future, but for now I'm just happy with this one. So that's the size of the photo. I don't often use oversized pictures in my layout. I think I should. I really, really like how this one came out. It's true mixed media again, in that there is watercolor in the background using salvage patina once again, and then I added stamping over top. I want to say that this one may have actually been for Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches this time around for season 8. I don't know what day it was, but like I said at the beginning of the video, there are process videos for all of my layouts. So if you have a burning need to find out what it is, you'll have to find it on my channel. I stamped the name of the bridge. I felt like it needed to be somewhere on this layout other than in my journaling. So I just created a little phrase sticker by stamping Rochefort Bridge and then inking the edges and gluing it to the layout. There's the tab here with the date on it, some enamel dots, which are from I'm not sure. But the colors worked really well with my color scheme. There's more paper torn papers here down at the bottom. I kind of ruffled them up a little bit just to give them a bit more dimension and to help you see that I did sneak in another snowflake border underneath that as well. And then I die cut these snowflakes and used Close to My Heart clear shimmer brush on the tops of them as well, just to give them a little bit of shimmer, because snowflakes do shimmer. Now, you may not be able to tell in the photo, but there is snow lying in the grass here and out in the farmer's field. So that's where the snowflakes came from. There is a sticker from, once again, Fall Market, my journaling, and yeah, there's this layout. Last one. So this one is also a scrap lift. It may have been also for 30 Days of Sketches. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. It may have been Scrap Lift Sunday as well. I stole the story idea for this layout from, and I'm going to butcher her name again, I'm so sorry, Crystal Idunyate. I think I got it this time. If you follow her channel, you know that they are gearing up to move. We are actually in the same boat. I'm going to be listing my house next week. The repairs to my house that we got done after our fire back in May have finally been completed, except for the deck that is coming next week. Her story about the different rooms in their house, the rooms that she loves, really struck a chord with me, and I wanted to repeat that story as well. So this is my take on her story idea, and I included pictures of some of the favorite spaces in our own house that I absolutely love, and then added my journaling. It's mixed media layout as well, but this time I used prize ribbon in the background, and it worked really well, like coordinated really well with this Let's Stay Home pattern paper from Pink Fresh. This house strip actually came from pattern paper, an entire sheet of pattern paper, but I didn't want to use the whole sheet. I just wanted the strip of houses. So I fussy cut them out, and then I die cut this tree border and layered the houses over top of the trees. I really like the way that it came out. My title was a mixture of die cutting and stamping as well. I used Close to My Heart ink, which once again is a really close match to this prize ribbon. It is Bluebird, I do believe, from Close to My Heart. And then I used Carolina to cut the word grows from. And then there's some Pink Fresh ephemera here as well. The hearts are all die cut. These little phrase stickers I die cut with my Cricut and then added Tim Holtz phrase stickers too. And that's my layout. And that completes my layout share. Once again, it was long-winded. I'm so sorry, friends. Once I get started, I have a really hard time quitting, rambling, which is so funny because I'm such an introverted person. If you were to meet me, I would have a really hard time chatting like I do here. I don't know what the difference is, but anyways, I have a knack for rambling, and I'm sorry about that. But thank you again for joining me. I hope one of my layouts or some of them inspired you in some way. If you are interested, don't forget to go check out my Instagram. And if you wanted to see any of these process videos, definitely check out my YouTube channel as well to find them. I will be back again soon with another scrapbooking layout and more inspiration. I hope you have a fantastic day, friends, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.